Hey guys, so today I wanted to show you my usual template. So here is a quick rundown of it. So we'll cover the usual kick bass group, drum group, and my master rack stuff where I can choose what to hear and some monitoring options. So yeah, here we go. So in the kick and bass we have two sets of kick and bass, so this one and this one. So basically you can see it's two basics full on type of kick and bass, and I did like two of them because I like to choose which one I prefer for what type of track I'm going for. So basically I have my kick setup, so it's like a kick 2 synthesis, then followed up with some EQ, slight EQs, and an LFO tool. This LFO tool is basically there for the kick to be cut at the right time, because you know, when playing psytrance you basically don't want your kick to go further than the 8th note. So here it's basically doing a slight curve down, so it can be smoothly ending, because I find in kick 2 the amp envelope is cutting really harshly, and if you listen closely in your sub frequencies when doing this type of amp that is stopping at an 8th note, you can basically see it there. Like, there is oftentimes a little an angle happening. It's not really smooth, so you end up having a low end click, and you really don't want that. So I let it go further than the 8th note, and then cut it with the LFO tool. So let me show the difference. Okay, so I have my kick here. Let me pop a oscilloscope. So my kick's playing here, so you can see it cuts at the right time because of the LFO tool, but if I deactivate it, it's longer. So when the LFO tool is playing, you can hear it's smooth, but if I do it in the amp, like, you can really hear there is a click. It's subtle, but it makes a difference in the end. So to make the LFO tool play with the kick, I put an external instrument that is routed into the LFO tool, and then I put note retrig. So this way, if I do like 8 notes, it will retrig. Okay, I need to activate the LFO tool. Okay, you can see it retrigs every time the kick plays, because if I don't do that, you can see there is an LFO tool, there is the second kick playing through. Oops. Wait. What? Okay, that is weird. 3 tricks every time the kick plays. Second, we have the bass. So it's a basic patch of Serum. So I probably did a custom wave shape on this one. So you can see it in my other bass video. So I won't cover that inside here. And basically I only have like a Saturn 2 to do some crossovers and having a good wave shape. So it looks like those teeth shape bass, because I really like that. Have some mid power to it, so it's really cool. It's very basic patch, so it's really, yeah, it's basic, but when I start to work on a track and I then tweak it further with EQs and other saturations and stuff, I have an LFO tool to do some side chaining, classic stuff here. So that's basically very basic kick and bass, but it works great for a placeholder, and then I tweak it as long as I tweak it with the track. Second one is basically the same stuff happening, but different settings on EQs and Saturn, and the Serum is approximately the same. So I have a drum group then with some audio tracks here to put whatever I want, and I have MIDI tracks for main elements like closed hats, open hats, snares. It's pretty basic, but yeah, it's placeholders too, and I change the sample I use along with the track working. So yeah, nothing fancy, but yeah, I can just open the template and start working on a track right away, so it's very useful. And yeah, there you go, you already have a groove that is working, and I can start to place melodies and stuff, so that's pretty cool. I then have, I called it sound design, but it's mostly leads and pads and stuff, just there for the sake of just there. Something I wanted to discuss is setting templates to your audio and MIDI channel is really useful, because as soon as you open, let's say I do a new audio channel like Control T, it immediately have an EQ and some volume rack, which is very useful, because by default they are deactivated, but I don't need to go in there and search for them every time I open a track, because I know almost every track will have some of them, so it's very useful. Because let's say I drop a sound in there, I don't know, let's say this one. So I can already say that it's way too loud and way too subby, so I can just pop that open. By default my Pro Q3 has a high cut on it, so I can just drag it around and see what happens. So yeah, okay, already much cleaner sound, and then I can just move that master volume. I have two of them. They're just basically utilities on a macro. So I call them automation and master. The master will be for static mixing. I use it at the very beginning of my mixing work. And automation is use it for, well, automations like ins and outs. But also, let's say I have this sampling in two different parts. This way I can move this one up or down depending on the other elements. But the static mixing will stay the same. So if I'm happy with the level difference between part 1 and part 2, but I found that this element overall is too loud along the track. I just push this one down. And if I'm happy with all the parts of this sound, but I found that on this measure it's too loud, then I just drop this one down and the rest will stay the same. So I find it very useful, and yeah, I like this one. So that's the audio. You basically just create whatever template you want. Let's say I want I don't know, like a Saturn in there. Every time I open an audio track, I just right click in here and save this audio track by default or something like that. I don't have it in English, but yeah, it should be the same here. And then it will mix this audio track the same every time you open it. So make sure there is nothing in here, because else you will have this audio sample opening every time and it's kind of annoying. But yeah, do an empty channel and just save it like that. Basically I have the same for Midi channel. So if I do Control Shift T, it opens like that. So I have a Serum, a Pro Q, and this volume rack. There is Saturn, but I don't use it anymore, so I could get rid of it. So yeah, that's it. Then I have a reference channel that is very useful. So basically it's a track I use to drop a professional track in it, with a Pro Q on it that is sending the spectrum to master Pro Q. So it's easier for me to match the overall spectrum. So yeah, it's very useful, and I can just solo it in and out to compare and have a critical listening to my track against a professional one. I can have up to like 2 or 3 of them, but most of the time I have only one. So yeah, if you use a reference track, make sure that you level match it with your own track. So at the moment it's made to play at -12 dB, because most of the time that's where I tend to hit on my master fader. I have my kick and bass hitting at -12, so overall I hit between -12 and let's say -8 dB most of the time. And since the reference track will be limited, the loudness to be equivalent need to be a bit less on the reference track, if that makes sense. So to level match, I usually use Pro Q on my master channel in loudness mode. So I look at the LFs of the reference track, and then I compare it to the LFs of my own track, and I match them so they're equivalent, and I can then work on a real unbiased unbiased reference. So it is set up like this, so I renamed it EQ Ref, so I can then find it in my master EQ. So it's here, I just click on it, and you can see I have my own kick and bass playing, and in red there is the EQ Ref, so it's this way very easy to compare the overall shape of the spectrum. So I can then work on all my mix with this spectrum open on my second screen and have a overall look at it at any time, and it's very useful. Okay, so I have an Oscilloscope on here too, to have it playing along my master oscilloscope. Same way to compare them visually between my track and the reference track. So lastly, I wanted to show you that this master rack, so maybe I'll redo it from the start so it's easier for you. What do I have in here? I have first stuff is Pro Q that is set to be low pass at any time I want. So I put it like 150 Hertz, so I have only the low end coming through. If I play something, so you can hear I only have the low end, and I set it up like I have one keyboard key to activate and deactivate that low pass. So if I hit Ctrl K, I can click on that and put any keyboard I want, and this way, even if I'm not on the master channel, I can press on this key and have it activate and deactivate. So you probably saw on my other videos, sometimes I just press this key and it allows me to be very quick with it, so that's pretty nice. Why is it not working? Okay. So that's pretty useful. So let's group it. Something else is a macro I have to put my old track on mid focus, so only the mid signal and the mids from the spectrum. So let me show you how I do that. It's a Pro Q2 that I set like 200 Hertz to 5 kilohertz, something like that. So this way I focus on the real mids of the track, which is the hardest part to get right. And if I mix like that for some time, I find it easier to get rid of muds and clashing frequencies, because you don't have any, like, it's won't be as easy for you to listen to all the elements. So if it sounds clear in the mids, when you go back to full spectrum, you will find it's very clean, much cleaner than before. And the same applies for mixing in mono. So basically I link this EQ to be on and off, and an utility to be in mono. Where is utility? There. so in mono, and I map them on and off to the same knob. So basically I can switch from full spectrum, full signal to only mid and mono. If I do a mix in mix and mono and then go to full spectrum, it's instantly like 10 times better. And the same, you can link this one to any key you want. And so even if you're not on the master channel, same thing, you just, let's say you're working on EQs and stuff and you don't want to go back to this master channel, you just press this key and that is very cool. Okay, and then the next one would be like an oscilloscope. So any oscilloscope would work. I mostly use Oscilloscope Megascope because I find it to be very, very convenient. So I put it after the low pass, so this way I can it would be this one. This way I can see only the low end when I'm low passed, and that's convenient. After that I would have Pro L2 or any limiter. So that's basically to push my sound just before exporting. So I put it like 9 dB or something, because like I told before, I'm hitting mostly between -12 and -8, so this way I ensure not to push it too hard, and at the same time I can push it a bit louder to put it on SoundCloud or something, to have an idea of how it will sound. But this is really depending on which track I am exporting and what level it's at the moment I'm exporting it. So I map the on and off in the rack, so that would be limiter on, and I'm mapping this gain to this, so limit gain, so I can minimize it and have a go at it without opening it. While mixing, I like to have a utility that is called Headroom. So I put it before everything else, and it's like 6 dB. Map it on and off. When it's on, it pushes my sound plus 6 dB. So if I see this little master turning red, I immediately know I'm gone over the headroom, and I need to fix the issue that is causing it. For example, so let's say this one. Please turn your sound down. So here you can see the fader turned red, so it means I have something that is that is too loud, so I need to find which one it is and turn it back down. So in this case it's totally normal because I pushed it way too hard. And as soon as I get rid of it, you can see it turn green, so that means it's all okay, and I still have my headroom, my 6 dB headroom correctly, so that's nice. I usually work with it on almost any time until the end and until I'm starting mixing properly. So I then have a mid-side rack, which is a bit more for advanced people, I guess. So it consists of 3 Pro Q3, but I guess you could do that with any mid-side processing. So I have the full signal, I have the mid signal, and the side signal. So the full signal, you don't have to have an EQ in here. Mid signal would be how do I do that? Yeah. So you push it only on the mid, so you can see the mid signal is set at 0 dB and side is set at -infinity dB, so means you will only have the mids. Okay, so I should have done something with side signals in it. Okay, let's say we put a reverb on it. Not very beautiful, but you'll get the point. And the side signal would be the opposite, so you open the EQ and put it in mid-side, then side only. And this time if I solo it, you can hear we only have the mid signal opening, the side signal opening, sorry. And then you just do a classic chain selector this way, and you macro map this one to select between mid, full spectrum, and side. So effect to macro 5, and then this one map macro. So you can then switch between them. I mostly use this one when I feel there is something wrong in the side signal, and I don't achieve to pinpoint it with all the signal. This is very useful when you have some reverb that is going wild and some sound delaying too much and you don't notice it before. Just do a pass of all your track with the side signal activated and you will probably find some issues you didn't were aware of, and this way you will be very much cleaner at the end. I also use it to put in mono my track without the mid spectrum, the mid EQ opening. So yeah, I tend to use it mostly while mixing, but yeah, you can use it anywhere you want. Is there something missing in here? So no, maybe the LFO tool. So the LFO tool, I'll mostly use it for reference copying, some kick and basses mostly. I put it before the oscilloscope, so this way I can select like only the transient of the kick, or only the basses like this, or only one shot of the bass. That's mostly while synthesis my kick and bass. I have to say I tend to not use it that much now that I know how a kick and bass would look like, but yeah, at the beginning when I was copying a lot, I used that like any time for hours to get things right, and it can be really useful to pinpoint only certain part of a sound. So yeah, it's really up to you to use it or not, but yeah, can be a nice idea to have in your master channel. And yeah, you can same thing, just map it to any key you want and have it on and on while referencing. It's really cool. So yeah, I hope you learned stuff today, and if you have any questions, just let me know on YouTube or Discord. I'm available anywhere. So yeah, cheers, bye.